You know, it's funny. I find myself getting validated by people who played in the NBA or have a lot of cachet with their name in the NBA. I made a video asking where was the Pelicans' pride, right? And the more and more I think about it, that's going to be one of my more classic videos for this season because everything I said in that video was true. And it's just interesting how this all comes together. So, a couple minutes ago, I was sitting there watching First Take, snippets on YouTube because Magic Johnson was on today. So I always like to watch Magic. And they were having a conversation about the Brooklyn Nets and Milwaukee. And they dropped the name PJ Tucker. And this was late in the video. You guys could go look it up on YouTube. Obviously, I mentioned it's on here. But they were talking about the roster around the Bucks and their mentality. And they were talking about the acquisition of PJ Tucker. And basically, Magic, to paraphrase and to sum it up, was like they had a bunch of soft ass niggas around Giannis and that team, and they went tough. And then they got PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is like made them tough. He brought that energy, right? There's some pride with PJ Tucker on the court. He plays with authority and he plays with attitude. Now, the question is, who on the Pelicans? Let's just talk the start lineup. Who plays like that? Let's go to the bench then, okay? Who on the bench plays like that or has that kind of nobody? You got teams that got guys like Jay Crowder, Montrezl Harrell, dudes like that. The Morris twins, tough guys. Not intimidated, play with attitude. Pat Bev, these kind of dudes, and they affect the core of your team. They affect the I'm gonna use this word, the vibration of your team, right? There's guys that just go out there and just, you just have that energy, that rah rah. The Pelicans' three best players are Brandon Ingram, Zion, and Lonzo. And they'll make that kind of dudes. And I know the other day I said Lonzo is tough because he is tough. All those dudes are tough. Make no mistake about it. But they don't have that same energy that these other guys I mentioned would have. They don't have that attitude. So when the Pelicans built this roster out this offseason, they need to go get some guys with some toughness. And here's the thing, right? If you go look at a lot of these teams, even the younger ones, they got guys who are somewhere in the range of where most of the guys are. So they don't have a guy who's 24 with too many guys that are in like mid 30s, right? Giannis is in his upper 20s. So they got PJ Tucker who's like 34, 35. There's like within a 9 to 10 year window of age. Um, and a couple other guys. I think Jay Crowder plays for, and I could be wrong. I think he plays for Phoenix. They got one of those guys. I can't remember who his name is, but one of those guys I think is Crowder. And he's not that much older than, say, Booker, but he's close within range. He's old enough to where he's respected, right? You don't need guys for young teams that aren't respected. You need guys who are going to go out there and give you some bite. They're going to give you some attitude when they play. And so when it comes to this Pelicans team, And we can sit here and talk about, starting lineup. Probably Lonzo, no, B.I., Zion, Steven Adams. Or Bledsoe if you just want to go with what they ran. None of those guys have that energy. And so if you're going to build this team, and let's just assume that you're going to bring back Lonzo and everything, even if you're going to go play Nickeil Alexander-Walker as the 2, your 5 needs to be someone who's, well, not necessarily 5. Let me not say it that way. Somebody who's going to get prominent minutes off that bench needs to be a vocal, aggressive, dominant, kind of presence in that locker room to make your team tough. And they need to be someone that's respected. Bringing in good vets who are cool but don't have that venom. That's what happened with JJ Redick. He's not a bad guy. He's not a bad player. But the problem is with JJ, he's a go along to get along. He's a nice guy. He's a cool dude. He's a, awesome guy. He's a fun guy. But he's not that dude. He's not going to sit there and run up on a guy and be like, do it again. I'll knock your teeth down your fucking throat. He's not that kind of guy. Some of these other guys I mentioned, like Crowder, Trez, and some of the other ones, the minute you do something, they in your face like, bro, we can throw hands right here. I don't care. There's not that guy on the Pelicans. And they need like 1 or 2 of those guys who are going to play. They have to be guys that are going to contribute on the court. They just can't be in the locker room and not actually hooping. They need to be guys that are going to be on that court with them, because when times get tough, they settle everybody else down and they instill confidence in everybody else on the team. They're not going to let you just quit. They're going to hold you accountable and they're going to make you play. And they're going to make you play through your issues. The Pelicans desperately need that guy, because with Gentry, they ain't have those guys. Like, E'Twaun Moore is cool, but he could be in a lineup. He could be out of the lineup. He could be vocal. He could not be vocal. You need a guy that's going to stay in their ass consistently. And unless your star players that, like, check this out. Russell Westbrook, if there's nothing else, because most people know I'm not a major fan of him. But one thing I got to give him credit for. Because he's a superstar, he is a natural leader because of his demeanor. And his personality forces everyone to kind of like, you get in line and you're gonna play and you're gonna do, and if not, you can't get on the court. So he's gonna do that. Kobe do that. MJ do that. Guys like that, you don't have to worry about having that toughness, right? And that's in most situations that's best. But Zion is not that, nor is B.I., nor is Lonzo. And so when you don't have that, or they haven't been groomed into that quite yet, because they can grow into it. But right now, you need that supporting the team. With Atlanta, Atlanta won, and by the way, I'm officially 9 of 12. Out of the 12, I only got 9 right because I've been fucking up in the East, man. I can't stand the fucking East this year. Y'all killing me. And it's funny, Trae Young got me both times. He got me for Philly, and he got me for New York. I mean, not New York, for New York, Philly and New York. Fucked my shit up. And they didn't give enough time for KD to be able to sit and chill. I'm a little pissed off right now. I'm at 9 and 12, but hopefully, we don't drop any lower. Hopefully we win out the rest of the way. But Trae Young got that attitude, and the guys feed off of him. I believe they also got Solomon Hill too. Yeah, they do. And so Solomon Hill got some bark, some bite to him. He's the reason why LeBron got hurt earlier this year. You know what? Even better. Let's talk about Golden State, especially in their run. They always had Draymond on the court. Draymond was always the emotional leader. You need the emotional leader on the team. And the Pelicans don't have that. And so when situations get tough, there's nobody to sit there charge up the troops. Because, yes, we could talk about Gentry and Stan Van Gundy, but some of the onus got to be on the players too. You got to have pride. You gotta want to go out there and win regardless of who's coaching. Even if that means you fucking mutiny against the coach, y'all say fuck it, we're gonna play the style we want to play, do what we want to do, and we're gonna win under this way, and you're just gonna have to coach just this way. But you still gotta go out there and execute. You gotta execute. And too many times for the Pelicans this year and last year, if times got tough, like they would show some fight in certain games, but not consistently. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. And until they get that veteran presence who's there, he's respected, and he's not afraid to get in anyone's face and tell it to him like it is, they're going to consistently have that issue. And I'm glad Magic Johnson brought this up and brought this to the table. Because, and they were having, it's funny, that whole conversation, you guys should go listen to it. Because it's, I'm going to segue this into another point. It's kind of off topic, but it's still on point, right? So I like to talk about team building from time to time on my channel. And one of the things he talked about with Brooklyn is just like, okay, he talked about the big three and what they are. And then he's like, okay, well, you got a guy like, Joe, who's terrible. And it's like, you can keep him as a foundational piece, but what about the other guys? Like, the problem is they're not tough. They don't go out there and defend hard. And it's like, if you're going to build this team around KD, Harden, and Kyrie, they're offensively gifted, but they're not necessarily defensive guys. So you need guys out there who's going to go like a PJ Tucker, who's going to go out there, have emotional energy, who's going to play smart, play hard, and make the other team's best players work for it. Again, who is that guy on the Pelicans? Lonzo plays the best defense of the starters, and it's not even close. But Lonzo has certain limitations, and he's not a physical defender. He's more of a tactical defender. He's more of an IQ defender. And it's not to say that PJ Tucker ain't there, but PJ Tucker, if you go watch, he was like, I'm finna get into Kevin Durant. You want this bucket? I'll give it to you, but you got to work for it. You're going to have to take it. That can wear down on players, especially in these long series or long games, especially late in games, if you're getting that kind of pressure the entire game. And we've seen it in certain matchups here. Part of the reason that Brooklyn lost was not just the minutes, but PJ Tucker and the other guys was like getting into him and making him have to work. That was the adjustment. Okay, they don't have Harden's not that good. Okay, we can face guard him. What we need to do is we need to dig into KD the entire game, and you can make it argument it's a little bit of luck, but it's like, hey, if his foot had been slightly behind that line, the Nets are still in the playoffs. They go on to the next round. Sometimes it's luck, and it plays a part in the game, but you got to try to do your best to take it away from luck, even though KD hit that brilliant ass shot. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. But again, what are the Pelicans, right? They need space, okay? Regardless of how you want to look at it, the guys need space. They need shooting. They desperately need shooting. But shooting ain't the only thing they need. They need hardcore toughness and they need hard-nosed defenders. And so I'm not sure how many guys like that are going to be available. So my question, and this is my question I'm posing to you guys on my channel, would you rather overpay to get those support pieces you need by a little and forfeit Lonzo? Or would you rather keep Lonzo and just try to, see what you can get in free agency and hope it works? That's my question to you. Personally, I'm with the former. I would rather they not pay Lonzo and try to get the pieces that they need, because at least to me, the Pelicans are dead set on BI and Zion. If that's the case, You need to go all in on them. And you might say, and I agree with you guys. Lonzo is probably the better fit. In terms of like third guys, but the Pelicans are not us. And I think they would, instead of having to pay 22, 23 million for Lonzo, they would rather get two guys and pay them at like 12.5 million a piece, or 13. And they come in, they can do some of what Lonzo could do. One guy could do one set of things, another guy could do another set. Maybe they both can shoot and they're both tough guys. And they're going to be out there with, you know, Brandon Ingram and Zion. It's like, no, you're going to defend your asses off out here. You're not going to slack off on defense. And they will get in the huddle and tell them, hey, you're going to have to play better on the defensive end. Quit thinking that the game, like really get into them. And that might be the best thing to get Brandon Ingram and Zion to take that next step together, is if you have that veteran presence out there with them. Like, hey, no, you guys have to be better. It's not on us, it's on you. You guys are failing your team. If you can do that and keep Lonzo, that's great. But again, and I think the draft lottery is tomorrow. It's very hard. It is very hard to make a trade or make a deal when you've already put yourself in a hole. Bledsoe may be movable without an asset because he only has 1 year left on his deal. Adams, there could be some teams that need him. Like the Celtics may want to offer up some guy or two for Steven Adams because it's security. You got him for 2 years and you got everything else. You just need your center. And he probably fit better with what they're trying to do. It's situations based. So maybe you get the draft pick and you don't need it. But to me, in my mind, I'm thinking it's much easier to say, okay, we got the number 6 or number 7 pick or anything, maybe 5, 4, 3, 2 or whatever. And it's easy to say, okay, go to a team and be like, we'll give you the pick, but you got to take Bledsoe or Steven Adams. And in exchange, we either want these 2 role players here that would better fit our team and put us under the cap, or under what's the word I'm looking for? Make us pay less than what we're paying already. So let's just say, and I'm gonna make up some names just to give you an example to make it a little bit clearer for you guys to crystallize it. Let's say the Pelicans go get the number 5 pick tomorrow night in the draft lottery. That pick will be coveted in this draft. There'll be teams that'll want that. So let's go look at a team like Orlando, who has one of the worst records. They could end up with like the number 1 or number 2 pick. And maybe they sit there and say, we want not just the number 2, but there's another guy we want. Maybe they go offer up some guys on that team and be like, okay, we'll give you, matter of fact, let me pick a team I actually know some guys that are on. Matter of fact, let's do that with, say, the Lakers. So let's say we say, okay, look, we need Montrezl Harrell, and let's just assume Montrezl is getting $8 million a year. We'll take Montrezl Harrell and we'll take who's off that bench? Wait, they got one of the Morris twins too, I think. Yeah. So I think I could be wrong, but yeah, let's just say, okay, cool. We'll take Montrez and we'll take one of the Morris twins. Let's just assume one of the Morris twins is also getting paid, like 8 or 7 million, and we'll be like, okay, we'll give you Steven Adams and the pick, but you got to give us Trez and Morris. So they get off Steven Adams, right? So they save the basically 18 million from there, and they end up actually only spending. They save 2 million, which you could go and now say, okay, we can add 2 million more to pay Lonzo, and it works out. And you got Montrez, who is a physical 6-man of the year kind of guy. He'll go out there and play hard, and he's got attitude. And then you got one of the Morris twins who can shoot, can guard multiple positions, can go get rebounds, and you can plug him and play. And he's got attitude too. So now you got a lineup looking something like, if you decide to run Jackson Hayes, you could go, your typical lineup from last year. And if you want to play Blair and all, you can figure that part out. Or you could say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Lonzo be our backcourt. Um, Morris, small forward, Zion, power forward, and Montrezl Harrell at center. Now your lineup is tougher. Your lineup is going to have a lot more physicality, right? And you still get your guys. You still get to keep Lonzo. You still get Bi. If you decide to extend a qualifying offer to Zion, which they will, now you've paid him, even though his stuff don't kick in for like another season or two. Yeah, he'll have another season before it actually kicks in. So now you got a better squad, and you saved money. You also got Lonzo back, and you still got Najee, Nall, Kira, and Jackson Hayes, and whatever else. Okay, deals like that, stuff like that, is what's going to put the Pelicans over. That's one of the things. That's one of the reasons I'm hoping they actually get one of those top picks. I'm not sure if the number 7 would be as coveted, but they probably could still move someone with that. I don't know what range do those picks stop being valued, right? But who knows? Maybe you get the 8, 9, or 10 pick, and you can still pull that off. Okay, but maybe you got to take something back you maybe necessarily didn't want to take. I don't know. I am not privy to cap spaces of these guys and things like that. I'm just giving you what I think, what pops up into my head. Um, but again, I think that team is a little bit better than, actually, I think it's a lot better than what they had last year, because you got at least another guy that can shoot, and you got a cheaper center that can go out there and is a lob threat. Well, I ain't gonna say necessarily a lob threat, but he's a scoring threat because he can go get you 19 points a game. And now your starting lineup is a lot more physical and solidified. And not just that, but Trez could go guard multiple positions. Morris could guard multiple positions, and they're not gonna take Bi slacking or Zion slacking. And if you put Bi at the 2, now he's got an advantage because he's taller, bigger, and longer than every other guard he'll face there. So it's easier on him to defend. And by doing that, you shore up some of the holes in your squad. And you still ended up, being able to retain Lonzo, and it's not going to kill you, right? Now, the question is, how do you maintain this going forward once those guys' contracts expire? They're going to come back, or you're going to have to go, replace them. That's the first part. And then the other part is the bench. The bench has to get better. Like, teams with better benches have just been better at these playoffs. Matter of fact, let's go run through the teams. Now, I know Milwaukee is missing one of their guys because they got out. They were out with an injury. Matter of fact, interesting side note here. Bogdanovich, because there was a trade where they were supposed to pick up, Milwaukee was supposed to get Bogdanovich. He's now on the Atlanta Hawks, who they have to now see in the conference finals. So that's going to be interesting. Um, but Milwaukee's bench is pretty solid. The Atlanta Hawks bench is really good. And I think they get Cam Reddish back um, this series. So that's something to look out for. They just got stronger. But their bench is really good. Clippers are known for having depth. And I don't think Phoenix's bench is particularly that strong, but what they do play and what they have works very well for what they're trying to do. All of these teams have very good benches or decent benches, and they come in and they can contribute. You got guys off the bench that can contribute, particularly Clippers and Atlanta. So that's one of the other things that the Pelicans are going to have to work on, especially getting some toughness in those places. Terrence Mann off the bench, Rondo off the bench. Speaking of which, the Clippers are doing this without Serge Ibaka. You know what I'm saying? So that's another guy pretty tough and everything underneath the or in the paint or in the rim, at the rim, I should say. The point is that I'm trying to get you guys to see or to think about. Pelicans need toughness, and You're gonna have to inject toughness into that locker room, and you're also gonna need a coach that's tough too. You can't have these guys like Stan Van Gundy or Gentry. Okay, you need someone who's gonna put their foot down and just tell them straight up what it is, right? You need someone who's gonna give them some backbone, who's gonna fire them up, because what they had ain't it. I'm not necessarily sure which coach that is. Like I've always said, I like Earl Watson. I think Earl is really good at what he does, and he honestly won me over as a coach listening to him talk to Gilbert. And I'm gonna ride that bandwagon until the cows come home. But he won't get a coaching job anytime soon. But anywho, that's what the Pelicans really need to be focusing on. Um, Hopefully, we hear something about a coach soon. I know Chauncey and Becky Hammond got called back for second interviews for Portland. Likely one of them is getting that job. If I have to place money on it, it's probably Chauncey. I doubt Becky Hammond gets that job, but we'll see. Um, I'm trying to think. There was another team they said, I think, who was supposed to be calling somebody back. I don't remember who it was. But that's something to be on the lookout for. Watch, these moving parts when it comes to coaches. You know what? I need to go do some research. I need to figure out when the coaching search started for the Pelicans and see how long it took for them to actually go through that, because the draft is coming up within the next month, and you don't have a lot of time. You need to get your coach in so they can see what they have, assess, and go and do that whole thing. And so y'all can make plans and stuff for free agency. That's all I got. I just wanted to get on here and talk about that. So y'all have a good one. Peace.